G'day guys, welcome to episode 47 of Ask Jack D. Today we take a question from Instagram around what creates successful entrepreneurs. Is it hard work or is it luck? And this is something that I am very passionate about and have had many debates about. And so I'm very glad that Josie Dame has asked this question and given me an opportunity to get it off my chest.
Quickly came from the sky with the light of day in me. And grew my own wings so the pilot came with me. I'm here doing God's work.
G'day guys, welcome to episode 47 of Ask Jack D. Today we're taking a question from Josie Dame on Instagram, who asked a question that I am very passionate about, particularly right now. Hey Jack, fan of the show, my question: do you think successful entrepreneurs are the result of luck or hard work? And Josie, I absolutely love this question. It's an ongoing dialogue and debate I have with a very good friend of mine, a guy called Peter Davison. We have had shouting matches backstage at unconventions about this topic. We're currently having a debate over email, debating this very topic, as he's over in Shanghai and I'm obviously here in Sydney. It is a very interesting subject, right? And I spend some of my time looking at the greats of history and looking at moments in history that changed the course of humanity and changed the world forever, right? So I'm constantly looking at people I would describe as being predictably and consistently successful, right? There's several different avatars here, but let's break it into two. You've got a person who's predictably and consistently successful for a sustained period of time, right? And often these are the people we hold up as being great, right? Like Einstein or Jobs or Branson. And then you've got other people who build a business, the business scales, they sell the business, and there might be a higher degree of luck or fortune in that particular play. But if I speak to the greats for a second, and look at their instances, right? Would Einstein have been Einstein if physics wasn't at a turning point? Would Jobs have been Jobs if he didn't find Steve Wozniak? Would Branson have been Branson if he didn't find Mike Oldfield, who released Tubular Bells, which was the first big break for Virgin Records, in the 60s or the 70s or whatever it was? And my answer to each of those questions is this. Yes, physics was at a turning point. Yes, there was many factors that were coming into play in the early 1900s that played a part in determining Einstein's thinking and where Einstein was at. But there was thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of scientists and physics in the game, mathematicians in the game back from Einstein 1905 to let's say 1921 or 22, which is when he won his Nobel Peace Prize. In that bracket of 17 or how many years that is? What's that? 1905 to 1922, 17 years. There was hundreds of thousands of academics, scientists, physicists, but there's only one Albert Einstein, right? There's only one guy who wrote 4 papers in 1 year in 1905 that is now referred to as Annus Mirabilis, the miracle year, where he redefined space and time and matter. He redefined the universal law of gravitation, which Isaac Newton had written in 1687 in Imprimatur Mathematica. At the time, Newton was held as God, right, in science and physics. And there was only one guy who had the courage, if you like, to go against all that and say, I reckon gravity works in a different way to what Newton proposed, right, over 200 years earlier. There's only one person that wrote E equals mc squared, which is the most famous scientific formula. There's only one person who wrote the special theory of relativity, the general theory of relativity. And a lot of Einstein's work gave rise to the electric world of everything that we take for granted today, from phones to medicine to computers to cameras to everything, right? Now, had Einstein not have been there, those discoveries and those progressions in science probably would have happened through, maybe 5 or in the next 5 or 10 years. And that's cool. But we can't take anything away from Einstein's independence of thought. We can't take anything away from Einstein's genius. We can't take anything away from Einstein's perseverance, right? Einstein was crucified for like 15 years before, a lot of his stuff, particularly around the general theory of relativity, was proven, right? So there's courage, there's independence of thought, there's persistence. There's, in Germany at the time, all of his colleagues going to war and him saying, no, I'm a pacifist, I disagree with that, I'm going to stay here and lose myself and obsess over my physics, right? Had he not have done that, the world would have been a different place today, right? Had Steve Jobs not have met Steve Wozniak, would he have been Steve Jobs? And my answer is yes. Because, and here's the thing, someone like Jobs would have found a way. Someone like Jobs, someone like Einstein would have found a way. Regardless of whether physics was changing, whether maths was changing, they would have found a way to do things that matter, right? Let's flip the argument, Jobs and Woz, let's flip the argument on its head. Woz would have met hundreds of thousands of people in his lifetime. So is it fair to say that Jobs was lucky because he met Woz? Well, no, because Woz met he probably met millions of people throughout his lifetime, yet only one of those people saw the technical talent that Wozniak had, was able to wrap a brand around it, was able to wrap really inspiring stories around it, was able to obsess in moments of history that changed the course of the world forever and bring that into business, was able to bring creativity and, again, an element of genius and thinking and thought and perseverance and obsession to Woz's talent. And there's only one person that Woz met in his entire life that the coming together of the two individuals created Apple computers, which form the basis of things that we still hold in our pockets and on our desks today, right? So what was it about Steve Jobs that meant that he was the only one that was able to achieve that? Branson's another good case study, right? Branson had Mike Oldfield and Tubular Bells, which Tubular Bells went off back in 60s, 70s, doesn't matter. There are a lot of record execs and record label owners in history that have had a big break with a big single, right? Who's the record exec that signed Britney Spears? I don't know. Some of you might if you're in the music industry, but we don't. Do you guys know? No. So who the fuck knows, right? So there's only one record exec, Branson, that signed to Mike Oldfield, hit Tubular Bells, used that to then sign the Stones. He signed a whole bunch of other people, built Virgin Records, sold it for $1 billion, diversified into airlines, had a really rough run, particularly in his competition with British Airways there for a very long time. Used that platform to then diversify into other businesses to a point where today he has over 400 businesses in 400 different industries, and his net worth is probably around the 10 to 13 billion dollar mark, maybe, no one really knows. So yes, he had Mike Oldfield, but there's a lot of people have Mike Oldfields, right? And I don't know anyone else that had a Mike Oldfield. I don't know their name, right? So Branson created success on a consistent basis now for about 40 or 50 years, right? So my argument is this. Throughout anybody's life, there are going to be times where fortune goes against us, and there are going to be times where fortune favours us. And it's the people, be it Mandela, be it Jobs, be it Branson, be it Einstein, it's the people, because all of those people that I've just met, Jobs, Mandela, Branson, Oprah, they've all had times where fortune went against them. Probably more so than the times where fortune favoured them, right? Mandela was in jail for 28 years as a terrorist. He came out of jail, and 18 months later he was the first black president of South Africa and led the anti-apartheid movement. He was negotiating with governments in South Africa while he was still in jail. They'd take him out of jail in his jail clothes, they'd have him in handcuffs and chains, and he'd get to the houses where he'd negotiate with government people. They'd take him out of his chains, you sit down, it'd be him negotiating with 8 different government people about the changing the rules and the country's view around apartheid, right? So the strength of character for somebody to be in jail for 28 years and not lose sight of their vision and not get angry and pissed off at the world and their very oppressors, and not lose their self-image and confidence because they've just spent 30 years behind bar labelled as a terrorist and then come out and to do what these guys do, right? So there will be times where fortune goes... I guarantee you, if you look at Branson's story, if you look at Jobs' story in particular, right, when he was ejected out of Apple, if you look at Einstein's story, there's a whole bunch of stuff around people attacking him and telling him that he was crazy. Look at any of these stories. There are times where fortune doesn't favour them that would have knocked most people out of the game because they would have gone, I've had enough, I don't want it, it's not worth it, I'm out, right? Equally, there's going to be times where fortune favours them, right? That's just life. So yes, fortune will sometimes go against you, sometimes fortune will favour you. The greats and those that are predictably and consistently successful, it's what they have done with those moments that differentiate them and that enable them to have success for a sustained period of time. Who is the founder of WhatsApp? What's his name? Sold it for $19 billion to Facebook. What's his name? I don't know. I'm an entrepreneur. I obsess about great businesses. I don't know his name. I'm not saying he got lucky. I'm not taking anything away from him. He started a business, sold it for $19 billion, right? Legend. Did incredibly well. Don't know his name. We all use an app. Some of you might be watching this on a platform called Instagram, right? They started Instagram, never made $1, sold it to Facebook again for $1 billion. Founder of Instagram's name. I don't know either, right? I could talk to you for days about the greats and people who have had a sustained period. I could talk to you for weeks about that, but I don't know their names, right? Because that's not what interests me. What interests me is those that have overcome incredible lows, have taken advantage of moments that fortune has fallen in their favour and gone on to change the world in an empowering way. And I think we cannot take away from the strength and the grit and the pain and the tears and the blood that goes into moments that change the world forever. So I think it's hard work. I don't think it's luck.